figured we'd do a little stock up, stock down. So I'll give you a couple players I liked. Cerrone, if you've been following along, you can add a few or react to those.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll do. I have more stock up than stock down, but I do have in both, and we'll kind of see. And this is with the Patriots in mind. Not really going to talk quarterbacks or players that don't make sense for the Patriots. This is like mostly keeping in mind the Patriots. There are like one or two players on here that I just think are worth talking about because they were bigger outliers. Stock up. I just kind of have an order of position. We'll start with the guy a lot of people know. He was on the cover of CFB 25. I actually got to talk to him about it this week. It was pretty cool. But that is Michigan running back Donovan Edwards, who is currently projected as a 7th-round pick, which I don't get.
I don't get it either.
Like, to me, I don't know if he's a top 100 pick. I would think early day 3, 4th, 5th round. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you bump that down to 5th, 6th in a deep draft, but I'm seeing going outside the top 200. Donovan's Edwards' biggest strength is his versatility, and he showed that off during the workout. He was smooth, he was nimble, did a good job in the pass-catching drills, ran in the 4.4s. Like, I thought he checked every box he needed to check. I thought he was really good. The big standout at wide receiver, and this is without Tet McMillan working out, was Matthew Golden from Texas.
Golden, yeah.
I kind of talked about this at the top of the show. I knew Matthew Golden was fast. 4.3, I think it actually officially went in the books as a 4.29.
Yeah.
Is an excellent time for him. Measured in a good size, 5'11", 190. Looked really crisp in the routes, moved well. That gauntlet drill, so if you don't watch the combine or if you watch it, you don't know what I'm talking about. It's the drill where they line up at the 35. The guy runs down the line from sideline to sideline, and they have quarterbacks throwing him passes on each side. You have to catch the ball, like secure the catch, drop it, turn, catch, and it's about, can you stay on that line? You don't want to, because guys will swerve, right, to make it easier to catch the ball. Do you stay down the line, and do you solidly control the football and not break stride, right? Are you smooth the whole way through? That's a very telling drill. Golden was good with that. I liked him. Another guy who crushed the gauntlet drill at tight end, Mason Taylor, didn't do the physical testing. I'm usually hesitant to include those players as standouts because why aren't you doing the physical testing? What are you trying to hide? But did a great job with that. Good on the blocking sled. Looked smooth in his routes. He's probably the 3rd tight end in this draft, I would say. Gunnar Helm really did not have a good workout. He was the other guy mainly in competition for that. So Mason Taylor may be pushing himself into the top 50, potentially top 40 if we see like a run on tight ends early. Colston Loveland goes earlier than expected. And then a couple defensive standouts for me, Cerrone, and then we'll get yours.
Yep.
Shamar Stewart, the pass rusher from Texas A&M, at 265 pounds, ran 4.6, showed off a ton of power. He's a guy I think is going to shoot, and I heard a bunch of good stuff about him during the week. He's a guy I think is going to shoot up boards, go higher than expected. Jahad Campbell's another guy from Alabama, linebacker. Yeah. I've always viewed Jahad Campbell as a 1st-round pick. The only reason I think he wasn't projected there is just linebacker as a whole has been devalued, but this is a guy that can be a game-changing player. And then a day 3 guy I thought was good and I really like for the Patriots is Billy Bowman, the safety from Oklahoma. Showed good movement skills, good ball tracking skills. They need to get a true free safety on this team. Billy Bowman on day 3, or maybe now it's late day 2, would make a lot of sense. So my stock up, pending the offensive line. Haven't gotten those workouts yet. And there were others too. I had like 9 or 10 players for each day you can read on 985thesportshub.com. But the guys I'll highlight, Donovan Edwards, running back from Michigan, Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas, Mason Taylor, tight end from LSU, Shamar Stewart, pass rusher from Texas A&M, Jahad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama, Billy Bowman, safety from Oklahoma, and I'll add Darian Porter, cornerback from Iowa, ran a 4.3 at 6'2", which was insanely impressive. So those are my standouts. I don't know how you feel, but those are my standouts.
Golden was number 1 for me.
Yeah.
I think I look at him as a Patriot fan. I think he's a good receiver, but he also has that thing we've talked about many times before. He's a playmaker. He's a guy you have to worry about. He's a threat. And we've seen him make those plays and show off that speed and athleticism in big games and big moments for that Texas team. I think he did him. I mean, like you said, everybody knew he was fast. But to come out there and look that fast and not be that far behind, it seems like Texas and South Carolina right now are just speed factories. I don't know how they manage that, but I think Golden's one that stands out for me as well as guy you had on your list. The rest to me was the running backs overall. I think they kind of, you seen the way they celebrated when they finally finished and they were done, whatever. I think they kind of made a name for themselves. Like, yo, running backs are important. Running backs are here to stay. I think they all kind of showed out. I've been a big fan of Marion Hampton from the beginning. You know, the dude, he's kind of, he's taller, but he's built like Saquon Barkley with the lower half. Dude's got massive legs. But I think him, Edwards to me, I think he's being punished for Michigan not being good. And not saying it's his fault, but I think they're kind of punting. No, he's not being, because he hasn't been drafted yet. But I think the overall grading of him is based off of how Michigan themselves played. But I think he's a good player. Everybody knew he was good coming in. And there's no way that guy's a 7th round pick. There's no way he slips to the 7th round. If so, something is terribly wrong with the system. But I think the running backs overall stood out, especially the two from Ohio State. We knew how good they were coming into it. But and my other one is one we mentioned earlier, which was the defensive end / outside linebacker Tennessee Pierce.
Yep.
And big athlete, speed guy. And I wanted to ask you early on a couple questions.
Yep.
Early on, did you see them adding weight to him to make him more physical in the run game, or
Pierce?
you think they leave him as is?
That's going to be a team-to-team thing,
Mm-hmm.
and where he goes, right? If you're a team taking him in the top 10, you're probably trying to put weight on so he can be more of a 3-down player. You're taking him late in the first, early in the second. I don't think he'll get to early in the second. Let me take that back. But if he's going in like the early 20s, right? Now maybe you're stomaching him more. Stomaching's the wrong word, but now maybe you're looking at him more as just a situational pass rusher early on, and you're going to try to just hone his technique, and you're going to live with the fact that he is never going to be like an elite run defender, and you're probably keeping that weight off. I think for the Patriots, he'd probably play 245, and they would just work on his technique and have him come out and just rush the passer early. That would be my guess for him. Just to go back to Golden, too, you mentioned the Patriots fit specifically. So he did meet with the Patriots. I talked to him about that meeting with the Patriots. He said, quote, "I took a lot of coaching from them. They coached me hard. I'd like to be coached hard." So I think, and that was kind of the vibe I got, was that he's a very serious guy in that sense. And I think that's going to be the kind of player that they're
Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a Vrabel guy.
A few guys stalked down for me. The big one, was kind of the big story yesterday. Tez Johnson from Oregon talked about how he was going to push Xavier Worthy's 4.21 40 record. He looks fast on tape, so I get why he was asked about it, but talked about potentially pushing the record. I think his exact quote was, when he was asked how fast do you think you'll run, he said, "Don't blink, you'll miss me." He ran a 4.51.
That's
which
not
is
good.
There were guys, and so the full context is he measured in 156 pounds.
So there was guys 100 pounds heavier that ran that fast.
There were legitimately guys 70 pounds heavier that ran significantly better times than him. And it's just going to be tough to play in the NFL at 156. And people have compared him to Tank Dell. Tank Dell was 12 pounds heavier and ran a 4.49. So I guess similar ballpark, but 12 pounds makes a difference, and a 4.49 to a 4.52 makes a difference. It wasn't quite the same combine, and Tank Dell is a massive outlier. Those guys don't usually pan out.
They don't make it. Yeah.
Rough combine for him. Ollie Gordon, the running back from Oklahoma, one of the few running backs that didn't stand out. I wanted him to be good. I get he's bigger. I wasn't expecting him to run a 4.3, but he was also in the 4.5s, lumbered a little bit through the positional drills. Not quite what I wanted to see from him. And then
I think he stumbled early in one of the 40s.
Yeah. And then two guys that I know Patriots fans like, so I'm sorry to do this, but they did not have a great combine. Harold Fannin did not test well at all. The tight end from Bowling Green. He's probably, some people are saying he might be a fullback. The athletic testing wasn't good. He was smaller than expected. Coming from the small school, he's going to fight a little bit of an uphill battle here now to kind of disprove that. And then Mason Graham. And Mason Graham didn't do the on-field testing, but the reason we were talking about Mason Graham as a top 5 pick was the rare combination of size and athleticism. And he was a guy, you talked about him as, he measures, because when he was listed at Michigan, and they always screw with the numbers a little bit, but this guy's listed at 320, and he moves like a guy that's 280. That's really impressive. Well, it turns out he's closer to 280 than 320. Measured in a 296, which still a good player, but he's not that rare sort of athlete that you're looking to take in the top 5. Like, he can still be good. Braden Fiskey's a good player. Braden Fiskey went in the second round last year because he's an undersized defensive tackle, and that's what Mason Graham is at this point. Doesn't mean he won't be good, and he'll probably still be a first-round pick because it's a weaker group. He might be a reach at 4 now. I wasn't saying that before. He might be a reach at 4, and I know some people said he took weight off for the combine or whatever.
That's what I was just about to ask you. Do you think him working out for the combine kind of hurt him a little bit? But
he didn't work out on the field, so I don't know why he would have been trying to drop weight.
That's true. Yeah.
And he'll maybe get back up to like 305, 310, which, okay, but that's still not – this was a guy that was playing, like an athletically dominant, almost defensive end. Doing that at 320 is what made him special.
Now, do you think
he's not doing that at 320?
Was he measured at 320 before the season started last year?
So I don't know.
Did he play that down? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm going to guess he played bigger than 296. I would guess he's right around 305, somewhere in that range. The schools always mess with the numbers a little bit. I mean, the pro teams mess with the numbers a little bit. We know that. Yeah. But 25 pounds is a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a notable shift. It's normally not like you'll have a guy that's 6'10" listed as a 7-footer. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
You'll have a guy that's, 295 listed at 300, 301. Okay. You're talking about two different body types.
Two people.
Right.
Two different people.
That's a little bit tougher. I don't know if you had any other guys that maybe were disappointing compared to what you wanted to see, but that's my list again. And again, there's more on 985sportshub.com. Tez Johnson, Ollie Gordon, Harold Fannin, Mason Graham.
I'm disappointed that I didn't get to see the stars. That's what I'm disappointed at. I'm disappointed that guys didn't, we know we understand a lot of these guys are top 10 guys. They don't want to do anything to hurt that. They don't want to get hurt, whatever it may be. But I wanted to see what made Genty more physically gifted than the other guys. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to see some of these guys run some of these routes or some of these drills, all of them, except for the guys who are hurt. I get that. But when you just say, "Nah, I'm not going to do it," and this is not the first year that it's happened, but I feel like this. A lot of people wanted to see these stars do their thing, and I think that's what I'm more disappointed in now. And I think, look, if some of these guys fall in the draft, with somebody's going to fall who didn't show up for this thing, you got to look and say you're to blame for it because you didn't go out there and give somebody some fresh tape or some fresh eyes on you that might have helped you in the draft a little bit, but. Yeah, that's what I'm really disappointed in the most when it comes to these players.
I will say, I think we got, I want to see the top of the draft guys. I think there were some guys that worked out that, players of their caliber haven't in the past. Amari and Hampton, I don't think needed to work out.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
Teams are very secure in where he's at, but he did. He was great. He was another standout. It's unfortunate. I don't think he's realistic for the Patriots. I asked him about reuniting with Drake May this week. He seemed very excited about that. Had nothing but great things to say. Talked about how Drake May took him under his wing in Chapel Hill and all that, but he might be a first-round pick. So that's probably not happening, but you saw him. I think Golden and also Luther Burden, who, by the way, I thought had a solid day yesterday. There's some concerns about hand size, but you look at his numbers when it comes to drops and things like that, and he seems to be able to make it work. Like guys like Amari and Hampton, guys like Luther Burden, I don't think would have worked out every year. I don't think guys of that caliber, especially in a weaker draft, are guarantees to work out, but they did. So I'll give them credit for that.